Welcome to our monthly interviews 5 minutes with. Today we have Academy researcher Sami Kivelä, who will talk about his research. Hello, Sami.
Thanks for inviting me to be interviewed here.
Wonderful. Can you tell us about your research?
Yeah, at the moment I have two main lines of research. One of them is focusing on how animals adapt to urbanized environments, and in this research I use Lepidoptera like butterflies and moths as the model system. And then the other line of research is focusing on how bird and Lepidopteran communities are interacting and responding to climate change and land use changes. So the particular focus there is like how this trophic interaction, because many birds, they are predators of insects. Lepidoptera are important prey for many insectivorous birds. So what kind of interactions they have, and whether they show some similar density fluctuations, for example, and this kind of stuff.
Then can you be a little bit more specific about how your work and research specifically connects to the current global changes that we're facing, such as climate change?
Yeah, of course, climate is changing, and also like the land cover is changing. So it means that the environments where the animals and plants and all kinds of organisms are living is changing all the time. And that's of course something that changes possibly the ecological relationships between different species, and it might be that the species, they are moving when they are tracing the conditions that they need in order to persist, but also the changing conditions, they may create selection pressures and affect the evolution of species, so that potentially species may also adapt to the ongoing changes.
And also maybe another link I'm going to ask you to make is to the program Biodiverse Anthropocenes. So how is your research relevant for the program and its development?
Well, I think this research lie very much at the heart of the topic of biodiverse Anthropocenes, because we are focusing on the consequences of anthropogenic changes like urbanization or climate change on like animal populations, how they adapt or whether they adapt, and also how these species communities consisting of like multiple species and biodiversity and the interactions among species are responding to these changes.
Out of curiosity, how did this research start for you?
Well, it's a long story. I try to put it short, but like it is kind of originating from my earlier work, starting from my PhD work, where I was focusing on life history evolution, again on Lepidoptera as the model system. There I was doing both empirical and theoretical work that has continued ever since. But then during the postdoc phase, I have extended the research to include birds. Then it was more like behavioral ecological research. But then at a bit later stage, this kind of community level approach has been also included. And like I think it's fascinating to try to understand what is happening in the nature, like starting from the species level and how species are responding to different environmental aspects, and how that affects the phenotype of the species, and how these phenotypic changes may then affect the interactions among species, and then like eventually even in the ecosystem processes.
And maybe one last question following this up. Can you share an episode that was an eye-opener for you, maybe in the research process?
That's not easy to choose anything special, but I would say that it is kind of nice to see when we are doing experimental work in the laboratory. And by the way, there we are using these things that I took. This is a plastic cup made for drinking for most of you, I guess, but we are using these for rearing Lepidopteran larvae in the laboratory conditions. So we have a single larva and a host plant in this cup covered with a mesh, and we have hundreds of these in the conditions that we are using in the experiment. And then once you are following how the individuals are responding to the conditions and see how they grow and develop, and that's like you can. It's very nice to follow like how these different conditions are affecting the growth and development, and you like things are just happening below your eyes there, and then it's always nice to get the final results of the experiments.
And also nice way to also use the cup.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks everyone for watching us. See you next month.